And welcome to another wonderful episode of The Comics Should Smell Very Good, as they always do, here at Zanadu Comics. Finally, the rain has returned, the Blade Runner weather is here. Blade Runner is very eminently upon us as well. But so are many, many good comic books we have this week. Clearly, the world knew that it was going to be rainy and that all Seattleites were going to be inside hiding. Hibernation has pretty much started. And that you need stuff to read.
I mean, I was personally doing that all summer, but
I
business
was,
as usual.
I was too, but I hibernate all year. You know, we make comics. That's what you do.
Yeah.
You know, you hibernate all the time, and you
don't leave your house.
No.
And you wake up at like 4 p.m. when you can.
That's right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow, that was dark.
Anyway,
speaking of dark, dark arts.
Master of the dark arts.
There's something magical in the air downtown. I'm not sure if that's just the smell of fresh rain and cheap weed, or whether it's the new issue of Doctor Strange. Number 25, a special anniversary issue by writer John Barber, and drawn by, I would say, legendary Doctor Strange artist, but like generally just legendary Marvel cover artist, Kevin Nolan. He's been here for so long, very underappreciated in my opinion. And he's joined by Juan Frigeri. It's sort of a old and new combination here, telling a story that takes place both in the past of Doctor Strange and in the present, with the consequences of his past actions coming to bite him in the ass, like they always do with those magician guys.
He makes a lot of mistakes for a fucking master of the mystic arts.
He really does. I mean,
he screws up a lot.
It's a high-stakes business, all that magic junk. But this is a surprisingly effective package. Normally, I'm not a huge fan of having multiple artists draw the same issue, especially when it's the same story. But they pull it off really well in here, blending the past and future sequences. And also, this many Kevin Nolan pages ever is nothing to scoff at.
Awesome.
And I believe this is paving the way for a new creative team on Doctor Strange as well.
Indeed. My first book is the most awesome quarterly adventure comic by Mr. Andrew McLean. Lopper has returned once more to take heads, not talk that much crap, because he lets his severed blue head of Agatha the Witch, do that for him. This is part 3 of Lopper and the Crimson Tower. This is just... It stands as one of the best and most fun comics on the rack. This is like the most badass Conan that you're not getting right now here. In this most recent arc, him and a couple of other warriors, and this really poor, unfortunate, like, I don't even know what you call them, very, very small little people, are getting swept up into this, and the body count is rising as they get closer towards, like, the deep center of the tower, and the monsters get weirder, as you can tell from the cover. But this is absolutely and utterly one of the best comics that occasionally come out. Actually very on time because it's quarterly. And they're nice, big, thick, and you get a whole adventure kind of in each one. So.
And speaking of Conan, the Conan Barbarian is co-starring in my first pick of the week. This is Conan meets Wonder Woman. This is an epic crossover from DC and Dark Horse. From the Wonder Woman team of Gail Simone and Aaron Lopristi, they are reuniting for this epic adventure in which Diana meets Conan. How do these two warriors meet? And two badass warriors, and they both get their asses kicked, and they both end up enslaved.
Ooh, man.
Hey, it's the first issue of the miniseries.
Yeah, right.
You gotta find yourself in an unfortunate situation in order to dig it out.
Exactly. So it's kind of cool. I mean, really cool art. It's got Conan, it's old school pulp adventure, meets, of course, Wonder Woman, Diana Heroics at her Amazon Fierceness Best. So a great, who would have thought it took this long to get these two characters together?
I'm really kind of amazed, actually.
And Gail Simone, I think she'll be awesome doing it, because Gail Simone does Wonder Woman, of course, and she does a lot of other kick-ass stuff for Dynamite and Dark Horse, like Red Sonja.
She's a great writer.
So there you go.
DC's really been nailing it with crossovers lately.
Yeah.
I'm very impressed by that. Now, speaking of kind of crossover.
Right, I was going to say,
it's like,
it is, yeah.
As much as something can cross over with itself, we have a new Samurai Jack miniseries here from the writer of Space Riders, and actually his partner in crime from Helena Crash. This is Fabian Rangel Jr. and Warwick Cadwell Johnson bringing you Quantum Jack. Through a series of so far undefined circumstances, Samurai Jack has found himself reincarnated in multiple forms, possibly across dimensions, this time focusing on the sort of biker Jack. He's got a mustache, he's got a goatee, he's got badass like scale mail, and he cool. rides around on a motorcycle and cuts dudes up. It's very much like taking the essence of Space Riders. Fabian Wrangle Jr. is probably best known creation at this point, and inserting it into the Samurai Jack world, which I'm actually all for. This also looks to bring in a Luchador Jack, a Cyber Cop Jack, possibly Jack Kirby Jack. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
All kinds of Jacks. Yeah, really, really cool series here from IDW.
Yeah. And my next pick is the return of Mr. Jack Burton. Big Trouble in Little China, Old Man Jack, who might appear in the Samurai Jack.
Right.
I don't know. It's possible.
There's a crossover, people.
Yeah, right? Jack and Jack. But yes, this is written by John Carpenter and Anthony Birch with art by Jorge Corona. Bringing you the adventures of, obviously, Old Man Burton, who is still wearing the same shirt. After 25 years more, maybe.
Same truck.
Same truck and everything, still doing the same stuff. This looks to be like a lot of fun. He has a massive chin, which is always important when doing Kurt Russell things. But this really looks to be a lot of fun.
New monsters.
You know, some new monsters, some new villains, some old villains. But yeah, this great Stefan Rowe cover, too, featuring a not very old Man Jack, actually.
Right? That's like Old Man Jack who's been stocking up on face cream or something.
Seriously, and flamingo blood or whatever. But yeah, very excited for some nonsense. And if it's John Carpenter written, it's John Carpenter approved. And can you really argue with that? Not really.
If only could have you just need to play some John Carpenter.
I was going to say, you need some soundtrack rock.
Soundtracks out there.
They do.
My next pick is Batman the Red Death. This is spinning out of the events of Dark Knight's Metal, in which we've learned there's not just a DC multiverse, there's a flip side, a dark multiverse. And it's tied to Batman, and if you read last week's issue, it doesn't go back just to when Scott Snyder started Batman. There was even a hint of back when Grant Morrison was doing Final Crisis and Batman R.I.P.
Which a bit more than a hint.
It's
a
bit more than a hint. I mean, yeah.
But now the evil Batman from across the dark multiverse have been unleashed, and this is going to kind of tell their backstory. Who is the Red Death? It's kind of a big hint of who the Red Death is, but the story of how did Batman hijack the Speed Force? It's really trippy, and what it's going to mean for Gotham City. And Morgan's going to have more on the Dark Knight Metal. A lot of tie-ins. There's all kinds of cool stuff. But this is one series of one-shots and miniseries that explains all these different Batman from the Dark Multiverse by the team of Joshua Williamson and a really cool Italian name,
Carmine Di Giandomenico.
There you go.
Really good. That's actually the regular team for the Flash, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, no, it looks really cool. I love Di Giandomenico.
Yes, as we have said,
Speaking of,
it is futile to try and stop the metal, so why not just bring you more with the second part of Gotham Resistance, Nightwing number 29. Last issue of this storyline with Teen Titans, we saw the Titans and Nightwing and Green Arrow all take on a weird, gothed-out, labyrinth inhabiting Riddler. And continuing that tradition, we have got Game of Thrones warlord Mr. Freeze. It's
why not?
It's heavy.
Dude, look at the size of that sword, man.
I pulled a bit of a will while I was reading this, and I just kind of exclaimed, "Oh my god, I hate this so much," which is, if you know me, my way of saying this is ridiculous, but I freaking love it. Nightwing shows up out of nowhere, like, decked out in, like, D&D gear, then all of a sudden, him and the Titans and Robin and all of them run down this mausoleum where they find, a bunch of gear and armor that's specifically tailored for them so they can fight these sweet fantasy threats. And if that isn't the coolest thing ever, man, I don't know what is.
There you go.
It's good stuff right here. It's real good stuff.
campaigns waiting to happen.
Right.
My next pick is a reprint that I'm really excited that Image has put back out. This is Rick Remender and Greg Tacchini's Last Days of American Crime. Now, if you've been reading any Image comics for the last 5 years, you know that Rick Remender has been killing it with like multiple series that he just, I mean, he's amping up to be like the next Brian K. Vaughan, where it's like, look, we're just going to cut you this big check before you even write anything because we know it's going to make a lot of money. This is my favorite thing by Rick Remender. It's short and sweet, only 3 issues, and it has the best Greg Tacchini art that I've ever seen. These were originally released by Radical years ago in these short prestige format, and gave Tacchini a little bit more time to do the art, and he's doing the colors and pencils and everything. And it is a noir story, not just about a score, but about the last heist. The idea is that a satellite is going to be put into Earth above orbit, and it's going to shoot this beam down on America that's going to make people unable to do anything that is illegal. So this information comes out a week before the satellite hits, and of course the entirety of America goes into, plummets into just chaos within about 24 hours. And the main character here works as a security guard in a bank and has a idea to heist all this money before they change currency into this digital thing, probably Bitcoin of some nature, and then hightail it to Canada, because Canada, of course, still is the promised land of free healthcare and paper money.
You still do crime in Canada?
Yes.
Oh my
Only
God.
America. You can do crimes, man. Let's go do some crimes.
That's awesome.
All right? And drink generic beer and eat generic potato chips. But that's really neither here nor there. Truly, this is just absolutely amazing. It's short. And if you've been liking anything that Rick Remender does, I highly recommend this. And you know that it's just going to end in death and debauchery, but that's okay. He's going to make you care really, hard about these characters before he does that. So
I feel like it's also worth noting that Remender is like one of the most prolific Image writers, but probably also has penned like the least series for them because his stuff just doesn't get canceled.
it's true.
Yeah.
It's true, and they go for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, like, Black Science is still going, Deadly Class is still going.
Low is still theoretically
Low is
going.
still theoretically going. Yeah, so if you're missing Low and you want some Greg
Same
Tacchini,
creative team.
yeah,
Probably
same
my
creative
favorite
team.
out of his whole bunch of
Yeah,
Image books.
Lower is really great.
My next pick is the latest issue of Batman. This is the War of Jokes and Riddles continues. After the last issue, well, there was a big interlude. There's also this kind of ongoing thing that Tom King's been playing with Kite Man. And who is Kite Man?
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Of
Man.
all
Hell
the
yeah.
Batman villains you could play on, damn it,
my
Kite
God.
Man is getting his due. If
Okay.
you even knew there was a Kite Man.
Yeah,
Should
I
we get
didn't-
Captain
he's-
Stingery next?
Exactly.
Like, what?
But after like the last issue, which had like the one of the weirdest, craziest dinner parties at Wayne Manor ever, between the Joker and the Riddler and Bruce Wayne, it seems like Batman may have taken a side in the War of Jokes and Riddles, and what is it going to mean? And literally, Kite Man can make all the difference in this war. It's a really trip.
Clearly the linchpin.
Clearly. Plus, here's a little tease. It's definitely not like you've seen her before, but you haven't seen Catwoman like this in a long, long, long time. And she's got a big role in this, and of course, we're eventually, and when this is all set up, it's going to pick up with where we kind of left off with Tom King, where Batman proposed to Catwoman.
Yeah,
Da-da-da-da.
right?
I don't think we've actually seen Catwoman like that since the Jim Balin days, which coincidentally, there's a trade paperback of his old series coming out today.
Right.
Strange, isn't it?
Strange.
But
True.
talking about strange, actually.
Yeah.
Good segue here. No, it's not another Doctor Strange comic. It's actually something that's very near and dear to my heart. One of the first comics that I ever fell in love with, The Simpsons Treehouse of Horror. Back in the day, I used to spend summers at my my cousin's trailer down in California, and they had all these big books, like the big books of urban legends and big books of crime. And they also
yeah.
had the big format Treehouse of Horror books,
Ooh,
which
nice.
are some of the funniest things you will ever read in your life. And Bongo Comics has not dropped the ball since.
No, they haven't.
There's a reason they've had the Simpsons license for the last like 20 damn years.
Yeah.
And this is one of them. The beloved TV special also has a comic book form. In this issue, we've got a Simpsons take on It, which, if you
of
haven't
course.
noticed,
Yeah.
everybody's kind of raving about that movie. I went and saw it, I freaking loved it. I proceeded to rewatch the 90s one again for the first time in like 15 years.
Yes.
Confront more childhood fears of mine. So we've got a recurring theme here.
Right.
But yeah, of course, they had to get in on that. We've also got a story with the the comic book guy dealing with the crazy cat lady's curse, and then a sci-fi take on Marge's hair. Yeah.
Boom.
Boom.
There you go.
Little Bongo Comics.
And my final book is Pure Truth within 2 glossy covers here.
Oh my god.
Ooh.
This
Yeah,
is The
hyperbolic.
Mr. Miracle by Jack Kirby. That's right, by the King. All 18 issues of what might be his most popular series for DC ever. The super escape artist known as Scott Free, who has a current comic by Tom King and Mitch Gerads, which has been probably the most well-received superhero thing of the year, I'm going to say. People are all about it, and rightfully so. It is really good. But it would not have a leg to stand on without the Kirby here. This is a very nice package, all 18 issues. It's got not quite shiny paper, all the colors are restored, and it just has... there's just too much to mention how freaking amazing it is. Every issue, the traps he has to escape, the way that Kirby weaves in his past and the Fourth World characters. For this is just one part of his mighty Fourth World saga, which unfortunately for some ungodly reason DC is not reprinting in any readable, cheap format. So this is like the best you're gonna get. But you know, who can complain about a ton of Mr. Miracle? And it's even got the Shiloh Norman character as well, who is great. He was recently in the Black Racer Mr. Miracle special, which was very cool. But yeah, this is absolutely and utterly one of my favorite things. And if you don't get this, I will give you the stink eye. Seriously.
My final pick of the week is one of the latest chapters in Generations, The Marvels. This is when Ms. Marvel meets Ms. Marvel. Once upon a time, before Carol Danvers wore the flight suit and became Captain Marvel, even before she wore the one-piece bikini with the boots and the sash, she had this cool costume, and she worked for a magazine, kind of a women's cool hit magazine. And thanks to the Vanishing Point, as we know what that is from the end of Secret Empire and Kobik, all these characters who get to have this moment adventure where they're all thrown back in time. So Kamala Khan goes back, and she's an intern at this magazine, and she encounters Carol Danvers in her days. You know, Carol Danvers was her idol, and they had a big falling out like a lot of the Marvel Legacy characters. Well, this kind of this adventure with a classic character who I think she started out in Ms. Marvel before she became part of the X-Men series and an X-Men villain. But anyway, so a lot of cool stuff here. G. Willow Wilson of Seattle, shout out to our local hometown hero, comic writer, continues this tale, and this is all leading up to the big Marvel Legacy one-shot and the new initiative, which we'll have a special video on that coming up later this month on this same channel. But Generations, The Marvels, it's the 2 Ms. Marvels meeting, and it'll definitely have an impact on both characters going into Marvel Legacy.
Yeah, and I think that is about it. Thank you all for watching as usual, and like Will said, keep an eye out for not only the Marvel Legacy video we'll be doing, but a very special video on the metal.
And this weekend, this Saturday, it's Batman Day.
Boom.
Whoa.
But hijacked by Harley Quinn, because it's Harley Quinn's 25th birthday, and so like any good criminal, she's going to steal the spotlight away from Batman Day. So a lot of cool Harley Quinn stuff for you guys this Saturday.
And there's even some free comic books.
Free.
Oh my god.
Don't you love free stuff?
You do. Alright guys, we'll see you next week.